What other show gives you 7 game parlays, all games under, in the heavy rain? All 7 games win and we cash a big paycheck here on this very broadcast. This is the Friday Soccer Paycheck. I am Stephen Murray, your host. It is December the 15th, 2023, just after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the eastern coast of the beautiful United States of America, broadcasting live from our Chicks Beach studios. This is the Friday Soccer Paycheck, where we can take $2, $5, and turn it into an exorbitant amount of money, as we did last week. Actually, a 7-game parlay, all under 2.5 goals, and the rain and the wind come through. In fact, it wasn't the biggest payout in the world. In fact, we had to invest a little bit more than we wanted, but we said it right here on the show. Look at all the unders. We basically named the ones that we liked the most. We went with it. And if you did the same, then you cashed tickets as well. I think somewhere around 20 to cash a $900 ticket or so. So we will take that as a soccer winning weekend for sure. And the best thing is we didn't really get involved with anything else because we didn't like anything else, honestly, except for the unders. So that's that. Different case of weather this week. So we're going to have to investigate this slate because I think the goals are back on. We have warmer temperatures in the 50s, no precipitation expected, and a dry weekend in the UK. And let's face it, if it's December and in the 50s in the UK, that is prime conditions for goals to be scored. So let's go ahead and take a look at the slate as usual, but we will first get into our standings. And I had a bunch of stuff up for football, and I know I closed out my EPL standings, so bear with me for half a second here as I bring up the Premier League table. And I might as well get the injury table up while I'm at it here. So let's go ahead and do that because we're going to need that as well. We don't have to waste time on it later on our EPL injury table. There we go. And I do have a lot of tabs open here as the screen does a complete blank. We will wait for it to get back on here. Hopefully, we're still going with the stream. That would be the other thing to check. Yes, okay. Stream is still good as the computer looked like it wanted to do a quick reboot from everything we have going on in here today. All right, so there's my injury table, and here is my here are my standings. Actually, it gives me 2 injury tables, so we stand by another half a second. We go to the EPL table. Where's my table? Here it is. Okay, on top now. It is a merry-go-round of teams here in the top 5, I feel like. Liverpool now finds themselves here on the top. They are number 1 with 37 points. Wow, everyone is so close up here at the top. Really, any number of teams can make a run at this point. Liverpool, 4 out of 5 wins for them, 37 points. Arsenal, 36 points. All right. So they are in second. Aston Villa, 35 points for them. They've now beaten Arsenal and Man City back-to-back. That's Arsenal's last only loss in their last 5 is to Aston Villa. But Aston Villa with 35 points now. And we were talking about the big number available for Aston Villa, 16-1, 20-1 here just a few weeks back. And I get it. You know, the big 3 of like Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City. It's tough to take Aston Villa over them, but they just are producing the results 35 points for Aston Villa. Man City is at fourth with 33 points, just one win here in their last 5 games. In fact, they had to kind of scoot by Luton Town there. It wasn't even decisive, but they get the win and look a little bit better. Better hopes for them this week because they played Champions League. They won the game in Champions League, and they were able to rest basically everybody. So that could help them for sure this week. Tottenham in action today against Nottingham. Man United is in 6th with 27 points. Newcastle and Brighton both have 26. West Ham with 24. Fulham, red hot, 3 wins of their last 4. They are now top 10 with 21 points. The bottom 10 start with Brentford and Chelsea, both with 19. Also with 19 points are the Wolves and Bournemouth. So look at that. The Wolves and Bournemouth have climbed up from the cellar, trying to attack one of these top 10 slots. Crystal Palace with 16 points. They've lost 4 out of 5. They get Man City this week. Nottingham Forest in action today against Tottenham. We talked about them. They have the 13 points. And now Luton Town, Burnley, and Sheffield United, your bottom 3 teams, 4 points away from safety as Everton has been red hot here as of late. Now, in the championship, when we get to that, and this is America's only gambling or wagering, this is America's only gambling and wagering show on the EPL and the English Championship. Prove me wrong otherwise, because I don't see it ever. If you do know of that show, let me know. But this is the only one. Everton is red hot. We won't find that in the championship. We're going to see when we get to that here in a little bit. But Everton, red hot, 4 out of 5 wins. Bournemouth, 4 out of 5 wins for them. So those 2 teams in great form. Fulham, 3 out of 4 wins. Good form for them. West Ham wasn't good form until they lost their last time out. We'll see if they can pick it up. Aston Villa is hot. Liverpool is hot. And Arsenal, until their last win, was in pretty good shape as well. So a lot of good teams here have been showing up well. Luton Town, Burnley, and Sheffield, those 3 teams all each have 1 win in their last 5, the bottom dwellers of the table. Other teams to note, Nottingham Forest has not been good at all. Let's see. Brentford has been terrible. Both of those teams have lost 4 out of 5. And Newcastle struggling, losers of 3 out of 5. Your high-scoring teams are these right now. Let's see. Man City has 38 goals. Liverpool, 36. Arsenal has 33. Aston Villa has 35. Tottenham, 33. Brighton, 33. So they're still scoring. And then it really drops off. Your bad scoring teams, Sheffield, obviously, with 12. Burnley and Luton are in the teens. Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace, both in the mid-teens for goals. And then, some of the other teams right there in the mid-20s would be about your middleweight point, talking about like the Chelseas, the Fulhams of the world, the West Hams, etc. The teams who have allowed the most, speaking of West Ham, they have allowed 30, actually. So they've allowed definitely more than they've scored at a minus 4 point or goal differential. Let's see. Bournemouth has conceded 30. Luton, 32. Burnley, 34. Sheffield, 41 goals conceded. Your stingiest teams are Liverpool and Arsenal, just 15 each. Man City with 18. Anyone else going to stick out? And Newcastle, Man United, each both with 21. Tottenham has 23. That's actually less than you would think Tottenham would have, as all these teams have played 16 games. How about Aston Villa allowing just 20 goals in their 16 games? So they have the offense and the defense to match these top-tier clubs, and they're right amongst them right now here in the table. So some separation for the most part from the bottom 3. The 3 losers, which would be Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield right now, would be relegated to the championship. And of course, the top 3 in the championship will come up to the Premier League after this season. All right, let's get to the slate. In fact, let's go through the injuries real quick as well. So keep this in mind. Bournemouth dinged up, 8 injuries for them. But Billing comes off the injury list, so that's big. Martinelli looks like he is sick, but he should be 100%. Keep an eye on that for Arsenal. Aston Villa kind of getting a little dinged up as well. Let's see. Leon Bailey is only about 50% to go. Yuri Tielemans is only 50% to go. Let's see. It would be nice if they had those players. Brentford is extremely banged up right now. They have 9 injuries, so keep that in mind. Most of these clubs are going to be pretty banged up at this point in the season. All this extra soccer that they're playing in these tournaments as well. Brighton has definitely some injuries that affect them. Still missing Solomon March. Still missing Danny Welbeck. Still missing Estupinian. All right, all these players rolled out for Brighton. It'd be nice to get them back. They're definitely a lot better with March in there, especially. Liverpool relatively healthy with just 6 injuries. No one really too notable to note except for Diego Jota, but he's been out for the most part. Fulham only has 4 injuries, so they could be your healthiest team at this point. Everton have about 8 injuries altogether. Crystal Palace has 10. They are extremely banged up. All right. Eze, questionable for him. He's their best player. Edward ruled out. So Crystal Palace, tough task as well, going to Man City. Chelsea have a dozen injuries themselves. So Chelsea is a very banged up team overall. West Ham, relatively healthy. Wolverhampton, relatively healthy, but Pedro Neto, do we get him back? He is about 50%, but they're hoping for him to be back for the Chelsea game is what they're saying. Tottenham, relatively banged up. Sheffield's decimated with injuries as well. Newcastle as well. Manchester United as well. A lot of banged up teams here. A war of attrition for all of these teams for the most part. Okay, so let's get to the lines. And this will be my first reaction to these lines as well. All right, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We don't have any early 7:30 game. So we start with Newcastle. They will host Fulham. Newcastle's minus 120. The draw is plus 280. And Fulham is at a plus 310. Now, Fulham's been nice. Newcastle has been struggling a little bit. You would think this would be a chance for Newcastle to kind of right the ship, but I'm not so sure the price is right at just minus 120. You almost feel like you're priced in to take Fulham or at least a draw plus 280, as this has been a wacky season for this kind of stuff here in the last 4 weeks. Underdogs winning, a lot of draws covering some big numbers. So this could be one of those on the long line of what's been happening lately with Newcastle and Fulham. Fulham has been fantastic, scoring 5 goals their last time out. Newcastle getting throttled by Tottenham, but here is Newcastle a favorite. I just don't know if I'm buying it completely. Again, the injuries for them are ridiculous. So I'd be more inclined to say that this is going to be maybe one of the more competitive games, gritty games, maybe not a high-scoring game either, although both of these teams have been involved in the higher-scoring games. We'll probably take a look at better ones on the board. I just need to see more from Fulham from myself, and at this point, I just can't trust Newcastle. So maybe a draw at plus 280 would be a good way to go about it. And if you go with the correct score, 1-1 is plus 650. 2-2 is at 12-1. I could see a 2-2, to be honest. or I could see a 1-1. So maybe if you want to get frisky on the draw, you play one of those two numbers. Besides that, it's going to be a little bit of tough sledding here in this Newcastle Fulham game. So I think generally just a pass. Another game at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have Bournemouth at home against Luton Town. Bournemouth is minus 220, plus 360 for a draw, and plus 550 for Luton Town. I'm going to take a look at Bournemouth here. I'm going to take a look at their team goals. So I think they're going to be able to have success again at home. They've been on fire. A team like Luton coming in, they should be able to get 2 or 3 goals against them, I would think. They're only plus 182 for over 2.5 goals, but I think that's the best play. Luton has been frisky in the sense that they can score just a little bit at times against some of these better teams. Not to say Bournemouth's the greatest, but the chance that they would be able to, wouldn't be the most biggest surprise in the universe in that regard. They do have, out of the bottom feeders, they do have the most goals scored at 17. So it's not like they're getting completely blanked. They're averaging just about a goal a game or a little bit more. And I got to give Bournemouth credit for their goal scoring. Now, they've only scored 21, so they're hot late. They had a lot of games where they have not scored. So at about 1.4 goals per game for them, you would think this would be an underplay as well. But I would not be surprised to see Bournemouth kind of break out bad here and put a big number up. I think 2.5 would be the conservative play. Over 1.5, if you just want to put a few things together, I think it's fair. It's a minus 196. The other one you could look at is for the first half, I think, and maybe get frisky in that regard. So the home team first half over 1.5 is at 3-1 odds. So I think that is somewhat fair to take a shot with for a parlay. So I'll have to notate that myself. I'll remember all this. Bournemouth over 1.5 first half goals is at 3-1. Now, if you think they can come out with a mass onslaught, I just don't like betting 3 goals and a half unless it's like Man City against the bottom feeder or something like that. Bournemouth has been better, but we can't give them that much respect. But that number is at plus 1360 if you wanted to get handy with that. So I would lean Bournemouth here, at least with the team goals over 2.5, and take a shot with goals over 1.5 in the first half. Now, if I'm going to look at a goal scorer, I mean, why not Solanke again at plus 115? Billing is at plus 240. He scored last week as well. But Dominic Solanke for 2 goals at plus 550, you might want to take just a shot at that. He could have a big day here against Luton Town. If you have one of those fantasy soccer games, you could be feasting a good score with Solanke against Luton Town. Now, this game could be a bloodbath too. 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we have a good shot here at a couple of good home teams to really bring us some loot. And we'll look at Man City at Crystal Palace. Now, the thing I like about Man City the best here, and there's not much to like about if we're getting super picky on Man City, which I think maybe there could be a general overreaction that everyone is getting super picky. But I said it, and I said to myself, this team just doesn't quite seem right. And they've now only have 1 win in their last 5 games. So struggling they are. They are at home. They get a Crystal Palace team who is completely injured. In fact, their goalie was playing in the lower Scottish leagues as well, and until he played his first EPL game last week. So now he's going to get Man City. It just sets up that this could be the route that we've been waiting for Man City to actually have. And you really got to think that they're ready to put a thumping on someone. They were able to rest everyone for the most part in their game in the Champions League. So Holland didn't even travel with the team. He's minus 180 for a goal. I think that's going to be fair. In fact, I would suspect he's liable to get 2 again today. Or tomorrow against Crystal Palace. Now, goal scorer props for Holland. Let's take a look at him for 2 or more because there's a chance. Plus 250. Man, I really would like plus 350 or something like that. But plus 250 is nice. Alvarez has been good. You can take him for a goal. Foden has been scoring as well. I'm wondering when Foden's going to get to have his 2-goal game. I feel like that could be coming. Plus 850 for him. So maybe there's a shot with that. But I would do some kind of combo parlay with Foden, Alvarez, and Holland. Take each of them for 1 and take 1 for 2. So take Holland for 2, Alvarez for 1, Foden for 1, and then take Holland for 1, Alvarez for 2, Foden for 1, and then take Holland and Alvarez for 1 and Foden for 2. Does that make sense? And spread it around that way. I think you could actually clean up. Shoot, there's a chance all 3 of them get 2 goals in this game, to be honest. If you were to do that, it's not the greatest. $5 is just $670. You would think you get a little bit better payout for 3 guys to score in a 6-goal game for the breakdown in the essence that all 3 of these guys would score 2. And if it gets out to a big lead, you can imagine Holland might take a seat, especially if he gets up 4-0. You might get some of these other players who played well in the Champions League to come up and get another chance to pound it on top of Crystal Palace. But this is a horrible spot for Crystal Palace. So I think any of the goal scorer props are fair game for Man City. And also, I would look at the home team goals as well. Plus 100 for 3 goals, and you're getting plus 285 to get the 4 goals. So right there, Bournemouth to get the 3 goals and Man City to get the 4 goals against Crystal Palace is a nice payout, just about 10-1 odds. All right, so that could be your Saturday, just 2-game little special type dealio there, as the other game not attractive at 10 o'clock, but we shall see if this one is. How about this? Chelsea and Sheffield. We talked about Sheffield being bad, but, they were valiant last week in their game, correct? Did they pull out a draw? Oh, no, they pulled out a win. Yeah, so they got they're coming off a win. It was Burnley that pulled off the draw at Brighton. But, yeah, Sheffield pulls off a win last week, and they are feeling a little bit better about themselves. Chelsea is way, way hurt and injured. So I just don't know. Minus 450 for Chelsea is not something I'm going to get involved with. Plus 550 on a draw kind of looks attractive. 11-1 for Sheffield on the outright. But this game is at Chelsea. There are a ton of injuries on both sides, really. Maybe a sloppy game in the essence that you might have some defensive players out of position, maybe just to kind of goals by default. If it's a nice day, I don't know where to really take this angle with this game, so I think I'll just make it a pass at the end of the day. And Chelsea is just such a big price, and I get it. Sheffield is supposed to be bad, but Chelsea's in that bottom 10 of the table as well. So they're not going to get my attention here, and we will try to move on and look for a better spot. Now, I think I can get behind Everton. Everton's been playing with a chip on their shoulder ever since they've been told that they're going to have the point deduction in the standings, and they're kind of sent right back to the relegation zone that they immediately climbed back out of. They have won 4 out of 5. Burnley as well had a draw last week, so better for them. But Burnley at home is plus 250, plus 110 for Everton. And Everton just has some good mojo here. So I think just that plus 110, that'd be a good number on the road to take them. And if you wanted to pair that plus 110 with the Man City over 3.5 goals, Bournemouth over 2.5 goals, we're now getting a payout of almost 22-1 odds. Now, if we really want to jack that up, we might want to take a look at Everton on like a goal line. At -1.5, Everton is plus 330. So I think I would get behind that. I wouldn't want to lay 2.5 goals at plus 960. It's a nice number. But the fact that it is on the road, it still is Everton at the end of the day. But Everton is in pretty good form. I could see them winning this game 2-0. I really could. Plus 330 for them. If you wanted to parlay that to the Man City over 2.5, or Man City over 3.5 goals, Bournemouth over 2.5 goals. Now we're cooking at a 46-1 bet. So a $20 bill, if you want to throw it that way, can pay $913. That's all your Christmas shopping on $20 if you want to do it that way. Can't say it's exactly safe. I mean, you still need to get the 4 goals with Man City. But Palace is right for the picking with that goalie. Bournemouth just play hot and continue it at home against a bad team. And then you're just asking Everton to do their job that they've been doing here in recent history. So in that aspect, that's a pretty good payout. An even 25 pays $1,142. I think that is a fair dealio. So that is all the games for Saturday. Best bets on Saturday: Bournemouth over 2.5 goals, Man City over 3.5 goals, and we'll take Everton at either plus 110 or minus 1.5. Now, a good slate again on Sunday, 4 games. And then we'll get a little bit of a break from the EPL. At least the lines aren't on the board anyway. Let's see. These are just the featured games, so I might actually have future lines. Yes, I do. Because there are games coming up on Thursday, and then we have one on Friday, and then we have one on Saturday. Actually, a good slate on Saturday. And there's one Christmas Eve game as well with Chelsea and the Wolves on Christmas Eve. All right. And then they have games all the week after that for sure. So we do have lines up for soccer, which starting Thursday, you're going to get it shoved down your throat for the most part. We will come on live during the game on the 22nd, which will be Aston Villa and Sheffield. So Aston Villa, it's a fun team we like to watch. We'll try to hammer some goals at Sheffield with Aston Villa being at home. Maybe we'll have Leon Bailey back for that, and we can be up to full speed. Okay, so the Sunday slate, 3 games at 9, and the 11:30 game is Liverpool hosting Man United. Sunday, West Ham and the Wolves. Interesting matchup because West Ham has been scrappy until their bad loss last week, but the Wolves have been somewhat scrappy as well. I would want to favor West Ham a little bit at home here. This is going to be a low-scoring game, I just think. I could see this being a 1-0 game, West Ham, maybe 1-1. Maybe the draw plays out here, or maybe even the Wolves get a 1-0 upset. But I think the under is probably the best play here with West Ham and the Wolves. Just these two styles should dictate that to each other. So I would look at under 2.5 in this game Sunday morning. Again, I would like Pedro Neto back for a little bit more explosive offense on the Wolves. The goal scorer for the Wolves that has been fantastic is Hwang Hee-chan, plus 270 for him. So if you need a goal prop, I would go ahead and maybe take him. We do have Mikel Antonio in the lineup for West Ham. You never know when he's coming in or out. But I think this is an under game, 2.5, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is Arsenal hosting Brighton. All right, so that is a good game. Arsenal is minus 220. Brighton is plus 550, plus 370 on the draw. Now, not a good game odd-wise, and if Brighton were healthier, it would be a better game. But I think we can get some goals here anyway. Arsenal seems to be good to be giving up a goal or two every game, and I think they can score some on Brighton here, as they have proven not to be the most defensively inclined team as we've navigated through the schedule. So I would look at an over here, and I think you can try to take it to over 4.5 at a nice big price at plus 370. So that would work out for me. Over 3.5 would be fine too, plus 154. I was expecting Aston Villa and Arsenal to go over last week. That game was just 1-0, but Aston Villa has great defense, and they played it last week, and they proved it at this point. Brighton, not so much. So I think Arsenal can find themselves with a good chance to succeed here. If you like the goal props, and Martinelli's been sick, so we got to pay attention to see if he's going to be in a lineup or not. Again, before you do any goal props, you got to check these lineups because they'll list the guy and take him right off the board and put him on the bench, and you're stuck with that price until he gets into the game. But if you wanted to take Odegaard at plus 250, I think that would be a solid play. I think Odegaard's fine, and this might be an Odegaard 2-goal week, to be honest. I feel like we haven't gotten that from him yet. That would be one I would look at with him and Solanke from Bournemouth. And, maybe throw in someone else in there from, as if you want a real long shot, throw in Foden from Man City. So Odegaard at 15-1 will get my attention for 2 goals in this game, where I think Arsenal can score 4. Brighton will get you at least 1. So we'll go over 4.5 in this game. And if Arsenal can't score 4, they'll get 3, and Brighton should be able to get you 2. If we want to add over 4.5 to our Bournemouth over 2.5 play, Man City over 3.5 play, Everton minus 1.5, over 4.5 in Arsenal and Brighton added to that, $25 will now pay $5,460. So a good payoff there. I think I'm going to get involved in the Aston Villa game at Brentford. Brentford's been in bad form. You're getting Aston Villa straight up to win at plus 120. I think that's fair. Absolutely. I think you could lay a goal line on the road, but maybe just take the safe route on the plus 120, especially if you're going to do it with some of these other exotic plays. But if we add Aston Villa to everything that we just told you, Aston Villa straight up, your $25 now pays $12,043 and 10 cents. So that's a good price. You can even round robin all this kind of stuff together as well if you wanted to. $2 on the 3-game parlays is only going to get you about $84 on the average, because some of these numbers aren't paying the greatest. But I think you really want to juice up that 5-game parlay on this because you can really bang it home. Now, if you want to take Aston Villa on the goal line, they are, let's see where we are at with Aston Villa. Minus 1.5 is at plus 340. That is a great number. They could win this game by 3. Aston Villa minus 2.5 is at 10-1 odds. But let's just get conservative. If you wanted to do minus 1.5 at plus 340, now you're really cooking with that 5-game parlay. 25 is paying almost $25,000, just over $24,000 bucks. So we might actually have to just kind of do that, bite the bullet, and hope we can get all 5 on the exotic play here. I think this is round robinable like this, to be honest, with Aston Villa minus 1.5. The over 4.5, Brighton, Arsenal, Everton minus 1.5, Man City over 3.5, and Bournemouth over 2.5. Let's see. If we do the round robin there and put $2 on each leg, now we're getting a little bit better price at $125 if we hit 3. This is on a $2 bet. So you're averaging about, if you hit 3 of these 5, you'll hit a $20 investment will get you $125. So not too bad in that regard. You really hope you want to hit 4. You'll get $500 a leg, and then your $2 straight up. If you don't want to do 25, we'll pay you just over $1,900. Altogether, a $32 ticket will pay out $5,650. The next game on the board, 11:30, Man United at Liverpool. Now, this looks like it's going to be a beatdown by Liverpool. It was last year. This was like 7-0, if you remember that. I remember watching it in my mom's hospital room. I think on a Sunday morning as well here in the springtime. So I would expect a repeat here with Liverpool to lay down the wood to a Man United team that is completely demoralized. I just don't like taking Liverpool. I was giving a reprieve to Man United last week, so I might just kind of hold off and give them a little bit more. They did play Bayern Munich tough, although they couldn't get the ball in possession a lot of times midweek in the Champions League. It was 0-0 until very, very late in the game. So maybe that could be the same case here at Liverpool. Liverpool pulls it out. Either that or the Liverpool's going to take them to the slaughter. If you think that's going to happen, though, we'll just throw a couple numbers at you. They'll match last year's. Just to get the 4 goals is plus 250. So I'm not a fan there. 5 goals is only plus 630. I'd like a bigger price there. Over 5.5 is at 14-1. Yeah, I just can't get involved with that. I think I like all the other plays better. All right, so best bets on the board. Goal prop wise, we'll take Odegaard to score 2 goals. We will take we like the combination of Haaland, who doesn't, Alvarez, and Phil Foden. So each of them for 1, but maybe take whoever you like for 2. Maybe Foden since he's the bigger payout, and match it up with Odegaard, and then go ahead and take Dominic Solanke for 2 as well. Best bets for the tickets, we go home team Bournemouth over 2.5 goals at plus 182. We go home team over 3.5 goals for Man City at plus 285. We'll take Everton on the road, laying 1.5 or straight up, whatever you're comfortable with. Plus 330 is minus 1.5. Over 4.5, Arsenal and Brighton is at plus 370. And Aston Villa straight up at plus 110 or minus 1.5 at plus 340. Again, if you like all of those guys, the $10 ticket will pay $9,576. So take your $10 that you're going to get on a couple stocking stuffers and really try to stuff the stocking when you bring home $9,576 after you're listening to the Friday Soccer Paycheck here on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. Okay, let's get to the championship. And let me get their table up now. We'll get rid of the Premier League table. And this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier. I might have lost our train of thought together in this process. But when I'm trying to come up with a hot team in the championship, we had Leeds. It's just really hard to find one. And I'm trying to avoid the 2 top teams as well, as it looked like they were starting to slump a little bit, but they've kind of have leveled the ship a hair, talking about Leicester and Ipswich, who are at the top. Leicester with 52 points, first place. Ipswich, 51 points, second place. Again, the top 3 get promoted. So right now that would be Leicester and Ipswich. After that, it's Leeds, Southampton, West Brom, and Sunderland. If we were to end the season today, who would play in a 3 through 6 seeded playoff, 3 against 6, 4 versus 5. Leeds has 41 points. Now, Leeds was our hot team. They just haven't been dominating hot. And they still are decent with 3 wins in their last 5. But I'm kind of just off the Leeds train for a minute. I was expecting some more lopsided scores, and we could get that. We still could get that. So we'll keep that on the radar. But we're just not getting the 4 goals I was looking to get from Leeds, 5 goals, et cetera, just to have one of these completely dominating, high-scoring teams. Now, they have 36 goals in their 21 games, so that's basically 1.5 a game. I would just like to see them a little bit higher than that. Ipswich is the one team that seems to be doing that the most. And then we'll try to identify someone else here down as we go through the table. But Leeds with 41 points, Southampton 39, West Brom 35, Sunderland 33. Now, it's very congested here in the last couple of weeks as we go 7 through 21. And I feel like we have some separation now. We were more like 8 points or so in the last few weeks with all these teams. Now we're more like at 12 points, where Hull has, they're kind of slipping, but they still have 33 points. Preston, they're slipping, and they still have 32 points. Or these two teams must have been red hot to start the season. Blackburn's been good, 31 points. All these teams inconsistent, though. 3 wins in their last 5, a couple losses, or 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. There is not a lot of green once you kind of get off of these top few teams, 7 through 11. We'll just put it that way. Norwich has 3 wins in their last 5, so maybe they're a little hot. They're a team I've been kind of leaning on a hair. All right. Coventry has 3 wins in their last 4, so they've kind of turned it around. They are in 14th with 26 points. Norwich is in 11th with 30. Then it's Watford and Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough was in relegation for a while, but now they've kind of gone cold again. They've lost 4 out of 5. Have Middlesbrough, which is kind of shocking to say at this point. You kind of figured they'd have made a good turn for their season, but there's a lot of red down here, except for a couple of teams who are going to be kind of strangely hot. Let's see, Bristol not doing good with 26 points. Birmingham, they have 26 points. They're 2-1. 3 draws for Swansea in their last 5, a win and a loss. 4 losses in a row for Stoke. Actually, a draw their last time out. 4 out of 5 losses for Millwall. They've been stumbling. And Huddersfield, 21 points for them, tied with Millwall. They are your 2 safe teams above the relegation zone. Wow. And yeah, whoever gets relegated from the championship goes down to League One, which is a big, big difference. All right, so Millwall has stumbled big time here. They were a team in the playoffs last year. Huddersfield as well. Stoke was a better team last year. Plymouth, they're kind of sputtering along. They have 23 points, but they're not safe from relegation. Swansea, 25, not really safe. And I say safe in the sense that it was kind of lopsided, the relegation, but Queen's Park Rangers, who were really, really bad, they've gotten 9 points in their last 4 games. So they've really helped their cause. They're up to 20 points now and knocking on the door of being safe. And Sheffield Wednesday, where they were the worst team by far, they're trying to make a little bit of a push. In their last 4 games, they have 2 wins, a draw, and a push. Rotherham still struggling, 3 losses, 2 draws in their last 5. Rotherham gives up the most goals at 41. Sheffield Wednesday, 34, but not as bad lately. Norwich still gives up a lot with 37 goals. Blackburn gives up a lot with 34 goals. Huddersfield, they've given up 35, which is a lot. The best scoring teams, Ipswich, 45. Leicester, 41. You figure the median is somewhere around 28 goals. So 37 scored for Norwich would be good. Blackburn with 34 would be good. Hull, 31. Sunderland, 31. West Brom, 33. Really, all these teams average less than 1.5 goals per game. Southampton, 33. Leeds, 36. So no one's really knocking the doors off there. Teams struggling to score. Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, Queen's Park Rangers better for sure. Other teams, Huddersfield and Stoke. Millwall have not been scoring either. The best under team, just goal scored wise and goals allowed, who would that be overall? Just the general under team. I guess like Stoke City and Millwall kind of looks like that to me. Bristol City would be one, and Coventry as well. Bristol City, just 46 goals altogether in their 21 games, and Coventry as well. All these teams right around 2.5 per game or a little bit lower. All right, let's get into the slate. And we're going to go through this pretty quick here. So soccer leagues, all leagues, English championship. Yeah, so if you're looking for the championship, go to all leagues, go to the England section and pick championship. One game at 7:30, Norwich and Ipswich. Interesting game. Should be a higher scoring game, I would think. So over 4.5 goals here would be something like 3-1 odds. If you really want to get tricky, take Norwich on the away team to score 3 goals. Let's take a look at that number real quick. And the home team 2.5 is only plus 162. Norwich, who has a shot to get the 3 here, plus 680. All right, so that's an attractive number for Norwich. If you want to take Norwich on a plus 460 line straight up, I think you can, to be honest. A little bit upside down in the championship, a lot of inconsistencies. So that's where you can take advantage with some of these bad lines. Millwall and Huddersfield, we talked about being 2 bad teams, but Millwall is minus 125, Huddersfield plus 350. So maybe that, just take a stab. Hull and Cardiff are not far apart in the standings at the end of the day. You're getting Cardiff at a plus 350. I would maybe take a shot at that. We talked about Coventry being better lately. These are all 10 o'clock Eastern games. Coventry is plus 500 at Leeds. Leeds has been playing closer games, maybe even a draw at plus 350. So that's a big number. You're getting a lot of big numbers on the dogs here in the championship. Here's another one. Blackburn's a dog to Southampton. And this is a reputation game to me where Southampton is just the favorite, the Premier League team coming down from last season, minus 170. They haven't played that great. And Blackburn, who's been pretty good lately, is at plus 390, draw plus 320. I think all that's fair game. QPR is at plus 220 at Sheffield Wednesday. I would take a look at that. In fact, I would even take a look at QPR since they've been really hot. Let's see if they can just win by a goal or two, right? QPR minus 1.5 is at plus 690. So you're getting some really good opportunity for teams to pull some upsets here. I think get some draws, get some goals, and you're just going to have to play around with some of these numbers because away team goals over 2.5 is going to pay good in a lot of these cases. The away team over 1.5 in the first half, reverse goal line minus 1.5. Cardiff, who's been nice. I mean, Hull's been slipping big time. Cardiff minus 1.5 is at 11-1 odds. Wow. So maybe take a shot at something like that. Throw a bunch of these big numbers together and see what you can come up with. In fact, let me go ahead and clear my bet slip here, and we're just going to take some crazy lines. How about this? We'll take Norwich straight up at plus 460. We're going to take Huddersfield to win by 2 goals at Millwall, which is at 12-1 odds. We'll take Cardiff to win by 2 goals at Hull, which is, these are stab in the dark plays, kind of, but you're getting such huge payouts. You almost have to do this. 11-1 odds for Cardiff to win by 2. Let's take Coventry at plus 500 to beat Leeds. In fact, we'll just do a draw. How about that? Plus 350. And let's take Blackburn plus 390, and we'll take QPR to win by 2 goals. That's 6 teams. That $2 bet pays $304,350. And I'm telling you, all this could definitely happen. So I think you play around with some numbers. You have some fun with it. If you want to go round robin style, you can do 25-cent legs, really, if you wanted to, and keep it cheap. Let's just do 50-cent legs for the fun of it. So 50 cents on the 3 game. This is 6 teams here. QPR minus 1.5, sit plus 690. Blackburn straight up. The draw plus 350 and Leeds Coventry. Cardiff minus 1.5 at 11-1 odds. Huddersfield minus 1.5 at 12-1 odds. And Norwich plus 460 straight up. 3-game parlays, there's 20 different combinations in the round robin. You're getting about $250 if you can get 3 of these 6. 50 cents on the 4-leg parlays. You're getting about $1,700 on the average. If we're going to hit 5 of the 6, we're going to get about $11,000 on this level. Plus, you're winning all the other 4s and 3s. So you're really talking about a big number here. 50 cents on the final, pay $76,000. So altogether to win about $173,000. Your total investment here is $21.50 on 6 things that could absolutely happen here. Other games on the board, we have Watford and Preston. I'd be kind of inclined to lay off of this. We have Bristol and Sunderland. Sunderland's been decent, plus 125, maybe straight up for them. But they are on the road. Middlesbrough and Swansea could be an over game as well. Potentially, maybe just because I had the, at over 3.5 plus 180, I think that's actually fair. Over 4.5 is plus 450. But both of these teams have showed that they can score at times and allow goals as well. So maybe an over there with them. Plymouth and Rotherham, I would lay off of. I'll try to get cute with Plymouth to no avail. But they are the favorite, minus 170. Rotherham plus 420. And then we have one Sunday game, Stoke at West Brom. Better things to do, like the round robin football show Sunday at 7, than to pay attention to that. And then Leicester plays at Birmingham, 3 o'clock Monday. Cross that bridge when you get to it then. But, of course, Leicester is paying minus 195. Birmingham at home could kind of keep that kind of close, I would say. I think the plays that we like the most, we just talked to you about for the most part. So Swansea and Middlesbrough, not on that list. Over 4.5, 3.5 goals for them combined. Maybe Sunderland straight up at plus 125. But Bristol's bound to win that game, so maybe a no play. No play Preston and Watford. But we'll take a look at QPR minus 1.5. Blackburn straight up plus 390. A draw in Coventry and Leeds plus 350. Getting a little cute there with the draw number, right? That's one you could leave off if you wanted to go with the other 5 to dumb down your big round robin parlay if you wanted to. Hull and Cardiff. We'll take a shot on Cardiff. These teams not far apart in the standings. Neither are Huddersfield and Millwall, and maybe just take a shot on Huddersfield here. And Norwich plus 460. I'll give them a puncher's shot at Ipswich as best bets for the championship. All right, we'll go ahead and queue up the Tottenham fans. If you need any more of the show, just go on back to deepend757.com and click on the replay of the Friday soccer paycheck. If you hit the archives, it should be the top of the show anyway. So we'll get out this Friday. We'll come back next Friday right before Christmas and preview the rest of the year ahead at that point. So have a good weekend. Good luck on your tickets. Looks like we got some good angles. Good luck, everyone.